So in these next set of videos we're going to have a look at how we put some beams on, how we calculate the dose, and have a think about some beam characteristics and how what we're doing actually links back to the theory that we've done in class. So the first thing we're going to do is put a new course of treatment into this patient's file. So we're going to go insert new course, and we're going to, anything that's either got yellow or blue in it means that we have to fill it out. Okay, so in here it's probably a good idea to put your name in or something that you would recognise, so when you open the patient you know that it's you. So I'm going to put my initials, and this patient is having a palliative treatment, and then we've inserted a new course, which is there, that's my course, and I'm going to insert a new plan onto this as well. As I said, we could just hit F8 if we wanted to do that. So we're going to do next. The area we're wanting to treat is the PTV. Initially, we're going to prescribe the plan to Dmax at 6 MV. So I'll explain that in a minute, but for the moment just click Dmax 6 there. The patient is head first prone, and within this next box there's lots of different tabs as well that we can fill information in, and actually we're not really interested in lots of these for the purposes of this practical, but again, if you worked in a clinical department, they may well use some of these tabs for notes. But the first type of plan I'm going to do is a single field, so I'm going to call that SF. My plan intent is palliative, and the last thing I need to do is tell it how much dose to prescribe, and we're going to do a standard fractionation of 25 fractions, 25 grain 5 fractions, so 5 and 5, which should equal 25. And this is where we tell it which machine we're going to treat the patient with. So in your departments you may have different versions, you may have different manufacturers, or you may have different linacs with different heads on them, different capabilities, so each one of them will have different files within the planning system in order to calculate the dose. So we need to say which planning system it is, so we're going to use shoe variant number 1, and initially we're going to prescribe the plan to 6 MV, so 6x means 6 MV, and I'm going to click OK. And so we can see now that if we look here, we've got a plan which we've called SF, and we've got one field on which we've called field 1, and we can see the field is there now. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is label the field. So I'm going to go right click, properties, and I'm going to call this the post field. And the first thing I need to do is decide where the isocenter is. So just have a quick think for a second or two about where we might want to put the isocenter if we were treating a single field at 100 SSD. So pause the video now and just have a little bit of a think, and then when you've decided, hit play again and see if you think the same thing as me. So if we're playing a single field at 100 SSD, then we're going to put the isocenter on the skin surface. What I've done is I've created a point just to make life a little bit easier for you on the skin surface for you to move the beam to. So I've used the wire that the radiographers have put in scan. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the field, we're going to right click on it, and we're going to align the field to a reference point, and you're going to move it to ISO 1. So you can see there that I've created a little point there which is on the skin surface, and we can look there to see that we're at 100 SSD. And so you might know this being described as an applied dose. So we've got the SSD at 100, and the dose is prescribed to the Dmax point of the beam. Okay, so we'll have a think about that in a little bit more detail in a moment. So first thing I want to do is set my field size. So if I change my window here, what I can do is right click there, and I'm going to set a beam's eye view there. So we can see here that that's my tumour, my PTV, and this is my field size. And we can see that if we were to have this field size, then we wouldn't quite cover the tumour. So we've got a few ways we can do this. So we can look down here and we can change the field size. So I can maybe make that 15 by 15, or I can pick these tabs up here and I can move them like this, and I can move them like that. And you can see at the moment the planning system's moving the jaws symmetrically, which we don't want it to do. So what we need to do is go to the planning beam and go into properties, and we're going to go to geometry, and we're going to say that we want to be able to manipulate the beams asymmetrically. So we're going to take aseam X, aseam Y, click OK, and then we can then move the field. And what we want to do is just make it a little bit bigger than the volume we're wanting to treat. So ideally what we want is a gap of around about 0.5 centimetre from the edge of the PTV to the edge of the field, and that's to take into account the penumbra on the edge of the field. So I'm just going to make that bigger, and for our first calculation I'm just very much eyeballing that, so it's something around about that, and then we can calculate the dose and see what the dose distribution actually looks like.